Hey, welcome back to another edition of the Strat Fan Forum Football Show. Today we are doing an autumn win preview, and I'm usually joined by Tom Cook. Tom is uh, in the hospital. He has an appendicitis, and just so we don't hold up the start of the season, and actually the season's already started. We have 5 games played. Michael Reeves is going to join me tonight, and we're going to do a quick and dirty autumn win preview to show Tom that you actually can go through 30 teams and finish it in under 3 hours. I'm really shooting for 2 hours, so we'll see what happens. Michael, say hello.
Hey, I will say hello. And Tom, I know you're going to get a chance to see this. Get well soon, buddy.
Yeah, definitely get well. Positive thoughts heading your way. I know Tom said it wasn't a huge deal, and he should be fine, but we're thinking about you. I hope you get well soon. And I got a game against him in quarter 1, so I need him to heal up and get ready to play.
Absolutely.
So this is the way the standings look as of today, October 25th. We've had 5 games in the book, and we're going to run through these divisions. One of these games was played by your Los Angeles Rams.
That's exactly right.
We'll talk about that when we get to that division. We're going to start based on the league file. The division is what it's really called, but in the league file it's called the American Conference. They don't really have division names in here. I guess they say Division 1, American Conference Division 1. So, but it's the Shula division in the league file. And we're going to start with the Berlin Thunder. Tom's team will go alphabetical order. And what we'll do is we'll take a quick look at the rosters and give some thoughts on the season. So, have you had a chance to look at Tom's team?
Yeah, I did. Tom is a friend of mine. Tom, basically, you and he had introduced me to this game. And, of course, the key to any Tom Cook team is going to be youth. He is one that basically builds from the draft. And as you can see, there's a lot of youth on this team. But you could tell he's told me a couple of years ago that this was going to be a work in progress. And now he's got some quality talent around this team, including the newest addition, the strongest addition, I think, would be Tyreek Hill, the playmaker. I think that was a very solid pickup for him. And he's already proven himself to be solid this year.
Oh, yeah, for sure. He's going to have a much better card next year, even though this year's card is impactful, especially from the punt return angle. Tom's running an average run defense and poor pass defense, but his defense is not – he's going to have to coach around that. But if you look at his team, he's got Andrew Luck, a surprisingly good Andrew Luck card, especially gets strong on a short pass. If you look at his card, man, that's pretty decent. Everything's good except for a 7 and 11, and then he can complete the long pass a little bit, and he backs that up. Tom backs that up with C.J. Anderson as the running back and Christian Michael. Tom said he wasn't really looking to win the league with this team, but he did think it would be a lot of fun and that he'd be able to possibly have one of those 10-6 type seasons where he gets into the playoffs and can cause somebody some problems. Because Tom, with his coaching, can put a scare in just about any coach.
That's exactly right. I've been in leagues in which he's had a total rebuild where he's had 0s and 4s on the field, and I've watched teams struggle against him mightily. There's no easy win against Tom, no question.
Right. The problem with his team, as I see it, is all the 4s in the secondary. He's got 4s at both cornerbacks and at strong safety, as well as free safety. So he's going to be susceptible to those defender X or long gains or defender X or short gains. He's a very good double team coach, so he's going to need to do that. Like I said, Luck card's pretty good. It's not like a top 10 card, but it's right around there, like 11. I think Tom said it was 10th or 11th in his set. So it's not like a super great card, but with C.J. Anderson's card, which is good guess wrong, you can get people to call run and do some things on the flats. So it should be an interesting season for Tom. Like you said, he's got Michael Floyd and Tyreek Hill. Not really premium receivers yet, although Tyreek Hill is like 5th in the league in yards per catch. We do have that throttling rule in Autumn Wind, so he can't really use this off tackle and end run card that much, but he will be able to run it occasionally, and it does have a high fumble rate, so it might scare some people into calling run. But all in all, it looks like a pretty decent team. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna go through these teams super quick. So just based on what you see here, do you have? I'll start off with a prediction. I say Tom's gonna go 9-7 with this team.
Okay.
So,
okay. I see improvements to this team from last year, and I see 8-8.
Okay, 8-8. I'll put that down. I'm gonna put a spot here for Tom to add his predictions. Post our podcast, and let's see. We're gonna need to put these as I guess general. General will be fine. Oh, actually, here I'll put them as numbers. Let me add an extra column here. This is probably too much for people to know, but if I add a win and a loss column, it'll make it easier to total up. So let me do that real quick. And why don't you talk a little bit about your game with Claude the other night?
Sure. Claude Turcotte is the coach of the Montreal Alouettes, and we had a chance to kick off the season. We got in touch with each other over the weekend. We had our game Tuesday, and we're going to get to my team here in just a little bit, but it is definitely a rebuild. This is my second season in Autumn Wind, and last year I finished 4-12. I've lost Adrian Peterson. I have him on my team, but he's a shell of what he was last year. So it's going to be some tough sledding. My quarterback is Bryce Petty. He was selected in the 4th round of this year's draft. And in this league, you have to have quarterbacks with a minimum of 100 attempts. My quarterback last year was Matt Castle, who had to play an entire season, and he plodded along and did his best and basically led us to 4 wins. He was more of a game manager than anything else. In my opening game, my defense has picked up greatly. My run defense last year was poor, very poor actually, but with a couple of additions in the draft that we'll talk about, it went to average. My pass defense is average. So now that I'm playing with an average defense on both ends, I think it's going to make me more competitive. I'm going to be able to stay in a lot more games. Offensively, though, it's going to be a struggle. And on the right arm of Bryce Petty, who actually wound up throwing for 270 yards, he also managed 4 picks. A couple of them were relatively deep in Montreal territory. A couple of them, unfortunately, were relatively deep in my territory. He also had a quarterback sack fumble. 6 turnovers later, basically, we lost to Montreal in the last minute of the game. And as a matter of fact, Claude was able to punch one in with 45 seconds to play, and we lost 20-17, but it was very enjoyable. I could tell this is going to be a fun team to play. It's going to be frustrating, no question. Bryce Petty may set an all-time record for interceptions by the time this season is over with, but still, though, It was a lot of fun, especially defensively. I'm like I said, this is a rebuilding team, but I'm not going to give up any of these games. I'm going to try to spoil somebody's evening.
Perfect. All right. So I got the predictions down, and we are good to go. Move on to the next team, which is the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
Okay.
So let's take a look at Hamilton. That is, of course, Joe Sardo's team. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Notebook. They run a average defense out of a 4-3, and they're led by Eli Manning and Josh McCown. I don't know. I think with this team, I think I might start Josh McCown over Eli. McCown has an okay card, a little bit high on the interceptions, not so good on the flats. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm remembering past Josh McCown cards.
Right.
So let's take a look at Eli's. Yeah, Eli's is definitely better. He's got less chance of a pick and more hits, especially on flat passes. He's got Carlos Hyde, who's a nice running back. He's got short gains on linebacker and off tackle get strong, as well as end run, with those big hitting numbers on the edges for all 3 columns. That's a really nice card. Mm-hmm. So he can get people to call run, and that'll open up the passing game, which he's going to need. He's got Doug Baldwin. Man, why haven't I traded for Doug Baldwin yet? I love that guy. Mm-hmm. Kenny Stills is another good receiver. Jack Doyle is a plus tight end who's shown some good things. He can't go deep, but he's got a good card, short and flat. That's a really good card, short, especially get strong. And his offensive line's got a couple of fives, 3 5s, and a 4 and a 0. It's got decent pass blocking with 3 7. So this is like a pretty good team to me. What do you think about this offense?
Well, I'll tell you something. I'm looking at the database here basically, and Carlos Hyde was dealt. They received him in a trade with Montreal. Minor little pickup, Hayward Bay from Berlin. Another pickup basically to shore up their defensive line, picking up Jarvis Jenkins, a 4. This was a 9-7 team last year, so it's obvious in making these kind of moves, especially for Carlos Hyde, which is clearly an upgrade over anybody else that they had in their backfield. Let's see who was it. D'Angelo Williams. Clearly he needed a back, but he wouldn't make a trade like this. Either you're going for it or you're rebuilding. You're not in the between. So it's pretty clear that he was making a move. And on a 9-7 season, I think he feels like this is another playoff team.
Yeah, and it very well might be. I mean, like I said, we were talking earlier. In a 30-team league, you can get away with having some 4s in your backfield. I mean, I know I kind of hammered Tom a little bit for doing that, but it makes it more complicated because he has a poor pass defense instead of average. But you can get away with some things. You can have every team's going to have some holes, just about, except for those top-heavy teams. There's always going to be a few. In any league, you'll see some guys, just float to the top based on their trades, trying to sell out and go for it by giving up assets. But this looks like a pretty good team to me. I did make a trade with him. I remember where I moved DRC, which is a 6 cornerback, for a 5 and a 4. Mm-hmm. So, he would have started at a 6 and a 0, but now he's got a little bit more balance there with a 5 and a 4. DRC's been acting up this year with off the field antics, so that might work out to be a good deal for him that way as well. Mm-hmm. And actually, I'm not sure if this is intentional, but he's got Andrew Sendejo starting as a 4-5. Oh no, never mind. I see him listing LaMarcus Joyner as a backup, but he's really not. Mm-hmm. He's because LaMarcus Joyner is a starter at free safety, so that's just a mistake in the CM. Mm-hmm. All right, so that looks like a pretty good team. I like some of the weapons he has. We've seen Tom. We already predicted him with a 500 and a couple games above 500. What do you see for Hamilton this year?
I like this team. I'll tell you something I noticed about them too. Last year, they only allowed 258 points. That turned out to be in your all's conference in the top 4. And he made some nice moves offensively. I like Carlos Hyde. I've played against him in a couple of other leagues. I like that card. He's somebody that you cannot ignore. 9-7 last year. I'm going to make the prediction: the extra pickups that they've made, 10-6.
Nice. I like that optimism. I'm going to go the opposite direction, and it's solely because of the high interceptions on Eli's card. And I know a couple of the other teams in this division are really tough.
Yes.
Myself and Berlin will give him a challenge. Michigan's pretty good, so I'm going to go 7 and 9. So
okay.
I like that we have a little bit of a difference. So let's go to the next team in this division. It is those Michigan Panthers. So let's take a quick look at their notebook. They are running an excellent run defense and poor pass. That is a really interesting combination. I remember before the year I made a trade with Mick, because he had like 5 or 6 defensive ends, all rated like 5 or better, like 3 or 4 6s. So he was very top heavy on the defensive line. So that explains a little bit about the excellent on run and poor on pass. If you look at his team, he's got that man Khalil Mack on the front line, along with Brandon Mebane. I think he's running a 3-4, I said. So let me put that back up. And then Leonard Williams. So he's got 2 6. Even after trading Brandon Graham, who was a 6-7, and a couple other defensive ends, he's still got Khalil Mack, Leonard Williams starting with Mebane in the middle. Pretty good run defenders with Nick Perry and Mason Foster. He must have come, I guess starting Nick Perry, as a 0 pass defender hurt his pass defense, because it looks like he's got 4s there. And if he would have had maybe another 5 or so, he could have bumped up to average. But that'll be a little bit of a challenge on defense. But look at those pass rushers. Mack as an 11, Williams as a 7, Ahmad Brooks has an 11. Nick Perry has a 12 with a 3 asterisk. He's going to be able to mitigate that poor pass defense by blitzing the heck out of people.
Right.
And forcing them to try to throw into heavy pressure.
Right. He's made his decision. That's the direction that he's going to go. Because clearly a poor pass defense, it's like you said, you have to find something in there. This is an 11-5 team, so if you look at the trades that he made, it's not like he's waving a white flag by any stretch of the imagination. He's not in a rebuild. He was 11-5 last season, so that seems to be the direction he's going to go. So those teams that have those vulnerable lines, look out, especially with defensive ends that you don't have to move a linebacker there. That one linebacker that you move is going to improve that rush, but sometimes he won't have to, especially with an 11 there.
Yeah, and when we get to my team, one of my problems is a lack of pass blocking. This type of team, a poor pass defense is going to give me fits because I'm not going to be able to throw against him because won't be able to protect Wilson, and he'll be able to do that with quite a few teams that have poor pass blocking.
Right, third and medium and long is going to be a mess against this team.
Absolutely, and then let's look at his offense real quick. Joe Flacco, who's got not a great card. I would say it's an average card. He's had better ones in the past. A lot of blanks guessed right on a short pass. Pretty good short pass guessed wrong. He's gonna live on the flats and trying to get people guessed wrong and hit them deep because he does have that 8 guessed wrong on a bomb. But man, if he's throwing deep and you're guessing right, that picks on a 9 or a 10. So that's living dangerously. He's got Devonta Freeman as his main running back, and his card, even though he was fantastic in the NFL, his card's kind of chunky.
Mm-hmm.
If you hit those edges, you're in good shape, especially if you hit an edge on an end run, long gain on an 11, and a plus 20 on 3, plus 75 on 12. That's some big numbers. Those could be rolls that win you games, but he'll also be a little bit frustrated with some of his rolls. The good thing for him is that his run blocking is excellent. He's got Joe Staley, Josh Klein, Zach Martin, and Anthony Costanzo. All 6 5s or better. And his pass blocking is fantastic. So if he does, you almost kind of are okay with living with those blanks on Flacco's card because if you roll a D on the defensive die, on the black die, you're going to get a lot of dump offs. Mm-hmm. So his fullback's a fly pass blocker. This is a pretty decent team. Like I said, this is one of the teams I think you're going to say, oh man, poor pass defense, he's in trouble. But I think he might be able to make the playoffs with that. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. Like I said, it's a 30-team league, and in a 24-team league with a poor pass defense, I think you're going to get destroyed, and I know that firsthand. You're going to get clobbered, but I don't know. I'm just so intrigued by the whole idea that heck with the secondary. They won't have to cover their people for more than 4 seconds because we're going to get to the quarterback before that. It's a very interesting strategy. I agree with you. His lines on both sides are going to make up. I think that, like you said, he's got good running backs already, but they're going to be improved by those lines, and Flacco's going to have time to throw. They're a little deficient in the wide receiver department, I think, but yeah, this is going to be an intriguing team. I'll tell you one thing, they're going to be outscoring some teams. They're going to have to. Last year, they only let up 251 points. That's going to be a hard act to follow with a poor pass defense.
So what do you want to – I should also mention their receivers here. They got Marvin Jones and Devontae Adams, which are 2 pretty good receivers, lots of yardage on those cards. Do you want to throw me a prediction here, or do you want me to start?
I'm going to go they were 11-5 last year. I don't know. I have a hard time trusting that poor pass defense. I'm going to put them down for 9-7.
All right. I'm going to bump them back a little bit too. Gosh, it's a tough one. Like you said, its weaknesses are kind of covered up by his strengths, but you never expect a poor pass defense to make the playoffs. So I'm going to give him 8-8. I'm going to ride the fence on Michigan, and I would not be surprised if this team went 10-6, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it went 6-10 with some bad luck in there.
This is like an experiment, if you ask me. I think he's basically gone into the lab and decided to try to break the game.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And you have to do that when you're like you said. You told me off the air earlier. When you're in a 30-team league, it takes time to efficiencies. You can't do it in one draft. You can't do it in one purge and rebuild typically, unless you're like Nathan, who does an amazing job with that. But typically, it's going to take time. You're going to have to build up over several drafts, and I think that's the intention of the league. So we'll see. He's addressed every area except the secondary. If he gets that covered next year, he's going to be in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Oklahoma's our next team. They run a 4-3 good against the run, average against the pass defense. Let's take a look at his computer manager. Andy Dalton, who has this is not like last year. I think Dalton had like a top 3 card. This card is pretty good, but not quite as good as the one previous. But look at that. Lots of hits on the flat passes. Can do some things, guessed wrong. The interceptions are not that bad. So you can do some things with this card, especially in a 30-team league. But the thing I really like about this offense is Jordan Howard.
Yes,
I played against this card a couple times. Even though I haven't played any games and not win yet, but I've played against this card in SFFTL and in Stock League. That's a tough card to stop. You can do things on all 3 levels. Guessed wrong, the nightmare on a line buck in the middle and on the edges on off tackle and in run. It's got a lot of juice on it, and he can catch a short pass as well. He has max of 34, so he can do some things on flats and on short passes. It's just it's a powerful weapon. So,
well, he must have been thrilled because I wouldn't say he fell to 6. I think Ramsey was picked 5th, and clearly this was a position of need. They literally have no running backs on this team to speak of. But, Tom Cook and I have talked about this, and you and I too, about it's very dangerous to draft running backs because, you can have that, popping year in year 1, and the next thing you know, an injury could knock you back. And sometimes the shelf life of these runners, not everybody can be a Frank Gore and put together a solid decade of a career. Sometimes you only get him for 3 or 4 years. But so far, he looks really good in his sophomore season. So hopefully this is going to, continue for him as well. That was a very, very nice pickup. I look at this, especially on defense, to be a good run defense and average pass defense, and to only finish 4-12 last year. I see some improvement here, no doubt. A little deficient. The wide receivers, he's definitely going to be deficient there.
He still has some holes, like we talked about. Michigan's going to go crazy on him with that 3-rated pass blocker at left guard and 2-rated pass blocker at left tackle. So that's going to cause some problems. He doesn't have a very good tight end. LaFell and Crowder are just well, I guess Crowder's actually. I'm sorry, LaFell has a pretty darn good card yardage wise, and Crowder I think has the hits, so he can get him. He's nearly maxed out. Short, not that great deep, but he's still got some yards there too, and he's looked good as well. And he's got a good return card with a touchdown on 2 for his punt return card. Right. So I think the offense will be pretty darn good, if he can avoid the sacks. And then on defense, he's got the 4-3. He's good against the run with Ndamukong Suh, Malcolm Brown, and Chris Baker, all strong up front run defenders. And then in the back, he's got a couple of 4 cornerbacks, but his safeties are both 5s. So I like the way that looks as well. So, like you said, it's got some problems, but it's a pretty intriguing team as well. I guess not everybody can make the playoffs, but I could easily see another one where this guy, where Sean goes 10-6 or 6-10. So I'll go first with my prediction, and because I've had everybody just about right around 500, I think I'm gonna ding him a little bit, and I'm gonna go 6-10 solely because he only won 4 games last year with a big improvement on his running back card. That's going to boost him up, but runs into some bad luck. Nothing to do with his talent or coaching, but he just slips up a little bit.
I'm honestly looking at his record from last year. You have to be a good coach to be in this league because you get exposed. So there's a reason why everybody's in this league, and there's a reason why everybody was invited to stay. But just looking on the record that I see last year, I definitely see an improvement on this team. But one Jordan Howard doth not make that much of a difference. I'll pick up a couple games for him as well and go 6-10.
Uh-oh. Dodgers just gave up a run. Sorry, this is game 2 of the World Series. They were winning 3-1. I figured handed it over to the bullpen. It was rock solid, but Jansen just gave up a base hit up the middle. For those who don't like baseball, you have to live with my distraction here a little bit. So, okay. So, what was your prediction for him?
6-10.
6-10 as well. Okay. So let's go on to my team. And defending champions, I'll say that up top. It was so tough to win this league. I've wanted to win Autumn Wind basically since I joined, of course. But I would make deep runs to the playoffs or get upset in an early playoff game up with a team that I thought was pretty good. It's just so tough to win when you have a lot of quality coaches and a lot of teams that are also going for it. Everybody's, there's a lot of teams that want to win this thing as well. So they make trades to improve their team. You got to do the same to keep up with it. So I'm running another excellent defense out there again, like I did last year, and that of course just gives you a huge advantage over most teams. I'm running a 4-3. I've got plus pass rushers with Cliff Averill, Geno Atkins, and Brandon Graham. Of course, Von Miller's lurking back there. Bobby Wagner's can rush the passer a little bit. I'm only, I've got 2 4s out there, but besides that, everybody else is a 5 or a 6. So I like my ability to shut teams down. But look at this offensive line.
I was noticing that you have made. Look at these additions that you made. I love your 3-wide offense. That Eddie Royal pickup, that was terrific. If you were just looking at the offense from there, you'd be thinking, man, this team is going to rock again. But then I look at the line, I'm thinking, oh dear, this is going to be a little crazy. I think this team's going to drive you a little nuts.
I think it'll be fun. I mean, I'm aware that you cannot fill every hole. I only had so many assets, and I traded every single pick in day 1 to try to fill as many holes as I could, but I really couldn't do much to address the offensive line aside from picking up Zach Fulton, who's the star of my offensive line at a 4-5. So I'm well aware that I'm gonna have some issues protecting the quarterback, but I feel with my defense, the defense is capable of winning games. This is kind of a lot like the real Seahawks, where their defense is really good. Mm-hmm. Their offense has some good playmakers.
Right.
But do anything but, let people go by and sack Wilson. So I'm going to have my issues. Run a lot of 2 tight end set, even on 3rd downs, and not really use Royal in the 3-wide set. I mean, I may occasionally, but I like my second tight end, Gary Barnidge, just as much as Eddie Royal. So it really depends on the situation and who I'm facing. But I like this team. I think I'm going to do well again. I don't think I'm going to go 15-1 in the regular season like I did last year. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say 12-4 for my team.
I was going to toss out 13. I'll say 13-3.
All right. So there we go. We finished one whole division in well, I guess we've been going for a little bit. I'm not sure exactly how long, but let's move on to the Knoll division. And right now we're in the American Conference, so all these teams will be fighting each other for a playoff spot. And we're going to start off with the other powerhouse in this conference, and that is the Dallas Cowboys. This, of course, is run by Mark Lepage, who's already won one Autumn Wind Championship. He's got a good against the run, excellent against the pass, 3-4 defense. And he made quite a few trades to bolster the few holes he had in his offense. No shortage of help on the offensive line, unlike my team. He's got Donald Penn, Justin Pugh, Alex Mack. And, of course, his biggest pickup, along with in that trade with the Montreal Alouettes, was getting Drew Brees. I mean, when you have a good run defense, excellent pass defense, and then you add Drew Brees to be your quarterback, man, you got to feel good about your chances of winning the league. What do you think about these Dallas Cowboys?
Well, I'm looking at the Excel spreadsheet basically, which it's beautifully done. Again, everything that they do here in this league is first class. And when you look at this spreadsheet, basically all the moves that are purple are trades. This page is more purple than black. I mean, he made so many moves, and it's funny. I'm sorry?
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, and the fun part of he loves this league. He has a lot of fun with it. And when you go on the StratFam forum board, you see he'll basically put a little mock press conference for every one of the trades that he made. I even made a trade with him. I dealt a split end Chris Hogan to him, I believe, for a third-round pick. So, yeah, he was very, very active, and you can see that he clearly wants to protect that 15-win legacy that he had the season before. But I don't know. This team doesn't look as stacked as it did last year.
Well, last year they didn't have Drew Brees, though. Last year he had Jay Cutler as his quarterback. And the step up from Cutler to Brees is a huge step up. This is the page that I'm sharing my screen. This is the page that Michael was referencing, whereas you see all the additions are in a different color. You have guys that are pink that you pick up in trade. You have guys that are red that you draft, and then guys that are green that you pick up in the expansion or in the supplemental draft. So he went into the draft. He cashed in a lot of draft picks. He only had 4 picks in the entire draft, but he used those wisely. And those trades, I mean, look at the guys he brought in: Brees, Chris Hogan that we talked about. Jason Witten, who was an ex-Cowboy, coming back to the team. Look at his offensive line. He totally, 3/5 of his offensive line is brand new. Justin Pugh, Brandon Fusco, and Donald Penn, who came along with Brees in that trade. Drafted Michael Pierce, who's going to be a stud. He picked up Perry Riley, 2 5-rated linebackers to fill the middle of his 3-4 defense. And then in the back end, Nickel Roby Coleman, Logan Ryan. So he picked up quite a few pieces via trade and did what he needed to do to get that excellent pass defense along with Drew Brees. And this team just looks primed to go on a really deep playoff run.
I agree.
So let's look real quick at his defense. He's got Brandon Williams is a starting nose tackle this year. Next year it'll be Michael Pierce probably. Mm-hmm. We take a lot of 5s and 6s in the secondary. Right up front with 2-4 defensive ends. But besides Jamie Collins, who's a 4-5-6, no other 4s on the defense. He goes 5, 6, 5 cross on the rest of the linebackers. And then his secondary, 2 5s and 2 6s, including the anchor of that defense, Earl Thomas. So not very many weak spots. You might get a couple of rolls against those defensive ends, but besides that, you're going to have your hands full trying to move the ball against this defense and trying to stop this offense. David Johnson too. I went through my team, didn't mention Spencer Ware, who's the star running back on my team, but David Johnson's going to be, a dual threat for Mark because he can run the ball. He can catch the ball. Look at this passing, receiving for a running back. He's got all kinds of hits, maxed out flat, and those that long pass card. Which if you hit it, I guess the long pass card itself isn't that bad. But just the fact that you can go deep against the guy that has a maximum, a long dot and 58-yard longest dot on a run and rush and 58 max on a reception. You'll be able to go deep to him, and if you hit those defender and X against those poor pass defenses, you're going to be in business.
Well, you've said all this, and you haven't even mentioned the secret weapon on this team, Tim Tebow.
Oh yeah, Tim Tebow. He doesn't have a card anymore, so I'm not sure how much good he can do as a minor league baseball player. So,
and yet he's on the roster.
So let's get to the predictions. I say this team's going to go 13-3. You got?
15-1. My goodness gracious, that's a magical season. Even with a team that's stacked, to get every break in the world. I mean, every once in a while, Blind squirrel finds a nut. I agree with you. I say 13-3. I'm leaning toward 14-2, but I'll just say 13-3. And if he gets 15-1, I won't be surprised.
Am I remembering my record last year? Did we both go 15-1? Is that right?
That's correct.
But Mark was 15-0 headed into the last game of the season, and then he lost that game, which was like a shock. And then he lost his first playoff game, I believe. So he's ready to wash those back-to-back losses, wash that taste out of his mouth, and get back into the. So watch out if you have Cowboys on your schedule. So let's go on to San Diego real quick. The Chargers. This is Paul, right? Yes, Paul Mankiewicz, half man, half Mankiewicz. He runs. I'm hearing a little bit of scratching on your mic. Is that? What do you think that is? Is that just? You said you're not using a mic, right? Like you just going open air.
Yeah, I'm just going open air.
All right. Well, we'll keep an ear open on it. Paul runs an excellent. A 4-3 defense, excellent against the run, average against the pass. Colin Kaepernick has actually, you saw him last night in our SFFDL game. He's got a pretty decent card. He's got 5 fantastic in runs. He's not going to do you much good guessed right on a flat pass, but you can throw deep with him with those must runs on 7, 8, 9, and his interceptions are low. So this may not look like a good card. You wouldn't think, with Kaepernick not able to find a job for political reasons, but that's a darn fine Stratomatic card. If I looking at it, not a top 10 card, but something you can win with in a 30-team league. That's
right. You have his card in another league we had a chance to play last night. Does he have a lot of turnovers on that card?
No, very low. He's got interceptions like 2 through 4 guessed right, which is you can totally live with that. 2 through 3 guessed right, 2 through 4 guessed right long. That's like a fantastic turnover card. So he's not going to throw a lot of picks. So you can fire it deep. And with Le'Veon Bell as his running back, you're going to get quite a few run calls. He's got short gains on end run wrong and off tackle wrong and linebacker wrong, and he can gain the tough yards guessed right. So that's a fantastic card. And he's going to give Mark a challenge in that division, especially because he has an excellent run defense. Let's take a look at his 4-3 defense. Wake, who you traded to him, up front with Fletcher Cox, Everson Griffin.
This could be kind of
Abry Jones
to the team that had the poor pass defense. Although I'd rather go in with an average defense than I would a poor. But he's got some guys who can bring some heat. Not just Cameron Wake. He's got a couple of outside linebackers with 10 and a 12-4. So this again is one of those teams that it can come in either direction. Basically, you don't know where the blitz is going to come from. So those teams with the mediocre lines are going to suffer.
Good spot on Jerry Hughes as a backup. He'll be bringing him in on third downs when he wants to bring the house. And he's got Xavier Rhodes at one cornerback. He's got that 6-0 combo, so he can worry about double teaming Justin Coleman while he leaves Rhodes on an island. And then on offense, his receivers, Michael Crabtree's got a pretty good card, and Delaney Walker's got is one of the top tight end cards. So he's got a maxed out short pass card there for Crabtree, and Delaney Walker. I think he might even have double team completions. Yeah, he does. So those are his main receiving weapons. He's got pretty decent pass blocking, a couple of zeros run blocking. But this is a feisty team. This is the kind of team that can give you trouble if you're thinking you're going to overlook them because they don't have premium receivers or something. So
Paul's a quality coach. I've seen him in several leagues. Really, really is a solid coach. He went 10-6 last year. I look at this talent. I'm not sure this is a 10-6 team, but I think he'll coach him up to 10-6.
I think he'll do even better than that. I'm going to go 11-5, okay. And that's based on his coaching and he'll be able to emphasize the strengths of his team. So the next team up is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and that is coached by Mike Ramos. Let's take a quick look at his setup. He runs a 4-3 average against the run, good against the pass defense. And let's take a look at his offense. He's got Ryan Fitzpatrick, the old bearded wonder from Harvard, is his main running back. But Derrick Henry has got a pretty good card, so he'll see plenty of time. He can line buck and off tackle with the best of them. His receivers, pretty good receiving tight end in Graham. Britt's got an excellent card. No matter how bad he's done in Cleveland this year, his card from the Rams last year is pretty good. A lot of yardage on there. And then he's got Kelvin Benjamin, who's also got a pretty decent card. So he's got some offensive weapons. Good pass blocking with 2 7s, a 5, and a 4. His weak spot is Tyler Larson is a 0-3. His defense, I said it was a 4-3, I think. So he's got Brockers and Star Lotulelei up front. And then pretty good strength in the middle with a lot of 5 pass defender linebackers. His run defense is not that great except for Beasley. 5'6", 12'5". That's going to be a nice weapon for him. He'll be able to bring in Clay Matthews on third downs to watch for containment for those who like to run on 3rd and 5. And then he's got one good cornerback in Bouye, and then 2 5 safeties. Steven Nelson's the weak spot at quarterback. So this is like a pretty good team. I keep saying that. Everybody has a pretty good team. There's a lot of strength in this conference so far.
Yes, right.
Do you have anything you wanted to?
Well, and I would say not a lot of moves here that tell you that he's going in. I'm sorry, there's terrible echo here. Not a lot of moves that are saying that he's going in either direction. Any trades that truly put him over the top. I have to think that this is probably going to be another 8-8 season for him. I don't see anything that truly made it seem like, now they're making their move. And I think this is a team that basically has a lot of talent moving forward. It's going to get better and better. But he's doing it the right way, basically, just through the draft and letting things play out. So I say I'm going to give him another 8-8 again.
Okay, he's got Cameron Brate, so he'll run a lot of 2 tight end sets. So that's another effective target to go along with Benjamin and Britt and the rest of the gang. Man, he's facing 2 tough teams in his division. So I'm going to go 7 and 9. And let me look at Fitzpatrick's card again. Yeah, that's going to be his downfall. It's not a great quarterback card. Actually, I'm going to go 6 and 10.
It's got some picks on there, doesn't it?
Oh, now the game is tied. The Astros have just tied the Game 7 and home run off Jansen. Okay, so let's check out Philadelphia. So we got the Eagles, coached by Dave Saminsky. Go to the notebook here. He runs a 3-4 the run, average against the pass. Man, this is a pretty stacked division, I have to say.
Yeah.
Let's check out his computer manager. He's got Kirk Cousins, fantastic quarterback card, top 5 quarterback card. Let's take a look at this thing. Good on all 3 levels. Really nice flat pass card. Short pass guessed wrong is good. High on the picks a little bit, but he has completions on 4 and 5, so he'll get some love there. Who's his running back? Okay, Ryan Matthews. And Ryan Matthews, you think, I don't think he's in the league anymore. But look at this card. He has a very nice card. That is indeed his swan song. So he'll do well as your main running back in his strat league. Paul Perkins also has some decent stuff as a backup running back, so he'll have no shortage of carries. He got that Will Fuller card in the draft, who is a pretty good receiver card. But look at this punt return card. Receiver card, long gains and stuff like that, but touchdown on 4 as his punt return. That's a weapon right there. Gates is pretty good, flat and short. A decent offensive line. I wouldn't say it's good. It's pretty good. It's got 3 4s, 2 5s, and everybody's a 4 or better except for Donovan Smith. Something's up here. Oh no, it's just a mistake the way the CM's listed. His defense is a 3-4. He's got Akeem Hicks and Carlos Dunlap on the outside. That's a couple of good defensive ends. 6 outside linebacker. Paul Posluszny is a 6 inside linebacker, so he's got a lot of coverage against the flats there to go along with KJ Wright, who's fantastic, 5'6". His secondary is a little weak. He's got 3 4s and 1 5. Picked up Bradbury in the draft. So an intriguing team. Can be 10-6 and into the playoffs, but I don't see many weak spots in this team. This has a premium quarterback. This is going to be probably looks like so far this is like the best division talent wise. These top 4 teams are pretty good. What do you got for the Eagles?
This doesn't look like a 6-10 team from last year to me. I again, from an offensive talent standpoint, I would have to think this is going to be a 500 team. I say we bump them. I'm going to bump them to 8-8.
All right, I'm going to go even better than that. I'm going to go 9-7. I think Dave could go even better than that, depending on how he does against Mark and Paul. Those are and against Mike Ramos. All 4 of these teams are going to be fighting. Any one of them could make the playoffs. I still think Dallas is the favorite in the division, but I could easily see the Eagles finishing second, or maybe even pushing Mark up there, as well as the Chargers. So it'll be interesting. Let's take a look at your team, the Los Angeles Rams. I know you said you didn't expect to win a game this year, but you pushed the Alouettes and barely lost to them 20-17. And you racked up way more first downs, 22-14. You had 170 more yards than him. So what happened in that game? How did Bryce Petty let you down? You can tell me directly. I know you mentioned it already, but
yeah, 4 interceptions. Basically, Claude caused a couple of those picks actually on a couple of times where he threw 2 linebackers in the zone, and I just got some bad rolls. But frankly, they were great calls on his part. He's a turnover machine, basically 4 interceptions and 1 fumble. And like I said earlier, in this league, you have to have a 100 attempt quarterback to play, and I didn't have one. And the only one that was remaining in the draft was Bryce Petty, so I picked him up late in the 4th round, thinking, well, you never know. Josh McCown may. You don't want to say he's going to get hurt, but there could be a chance to get some more attempts. I at the time, I did not believe in Jared Goff and decided to go the safe route with Joey Bosa.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that Tom sent you a dissertation on why Goff shouldn't be your pick.
He did, and I'm glad that he's a friend of mine, and he does a lot of research in this. And I had told him basically that was the direction I was thinking about going, was trading down, seeing what I could get for that number 4 and making a move. But I thought, come to your senses. Joey Bosa could be a 10-year dominant force on the line. You'll never have to worry about picking another defensive end again. So, I made my move. And again, this is one of those leagues that, look, there's no tanking here. It's really a talent-based league. And you can coach your way into a win now and again, but clearly this is not going to be a team that's going to battle for any supremacy whatsoever. I'm going to coach them like I'm going into every game with the chance to win. This is not a team that's going to win but 2, maybe 3 games at the most. As a matter of fact, I'd be surprised if we even get that. What hurt me is that Adrian Peterson is injured and has a lousy card, and this is pretty much the same team as last year with the exception of not having Adrian Peterson and an extremely chunky card. And if you look back at the 4 wins that I had last year, in 3 of those, he just went nuts, just absolutely went crazy. And I hit the long gain on his card a couple of times. And the next thing you know, that's how you wind up with a win. But I like the draft. Did get a nice endorsement from Tom Cook, so that's always a plus. And again, this is a rebuild. I like my pick of Bosa, and I like my pick of Ronnie Stanley. And we'll see what Rob Kelly does. He's been injured a lot, actually. Can't seem to stay healthy, so who knows where in the world that's going to go. But no, all in all, I like my first few picks. This is a work in progress for sure.
Yeah, and it wasn't just your pick this year. Last year you picked up Malcolm Butler, or the year before that, and then you had Bernard McKinney last year as well. I think last year you added McKinney and Butler in the early rounds, if I'm remembering that right.
Mm-hmm.
And then
this team is not to the point where you start making trades to acquire talent. It's more about shedding talent, like Cameron Wake and Chris Hogan and also Terrell Suggs and some players like that where you can basically continue to build through the draft. This season's going to be over with. Who knows about some of these other players like Des Bryant, maybe a Parker. You start dealing off some of these players and you just start building. But so far, I like the building blocks. The bottom line, though, is that there's the difference between this year and last year. Had I kept Cameron Wake, I think it would have made more of a difference, but it wouldn't have helped me in any way, shape, or form for this season. But now I have two defenses that are average, so I'll be able to stay with teams defensively if I make the right moves and don't just play stand-up defense. But offensively, this is probably going to be a nightmare. No matter what, though, it's still fun, especially when you play with a tough defense and at least make your opponent shake just a little bit.
Yeah, I looked at that Petty card. You can guarantee yourself a high pick in the draft by just throwing 40 times a game because you will run into the interceptions. So yeah, I'm not saying that's a good strategy. Give Fat Rob Kelly his carries, but where do you see your Rams finishing this year?
I'd say 1 and 15.
Okay, I'm going to put that down. I think you're going to do a little bit better than that. I say you're going to get like 3. I'll go 3 and 13. So, and you might even do better than that. I mean, you really hung with Montreal pretty well. So if you continue to do that, who knows? I mean, remember, half the time when you're throwing a pass with a quarterback, defensive card. So that means that Tom Brady and Bryce Petty will have the same effectiveness when they land on the D cards, as well as Tom Petty, if he happened to be still alive and throwing the ball. So,
well, I'll tell you this, and this is the honest truth. I am not interested in the first pick. I'm interested in winning. And if if we somehow come away with 5 wins, I'll be happier than I would be at 0 and 16. And that's the honest truth. This league needs to play out. You need to get out there and you need to play strong for every single game. It's important. All 30 teams are out there to do one thing, and that's win and not tank. I have no interest in that, and I hope that I win 5 this year. I hope I can beat both of our predictions.
You're already firing me up. You should be like a coach and give a halftime speech. I like your enthusiasm. So hopefully that'll come true for you, and maybe you'll scare some of these guys. You're in a like I said, from what I've seen so far, you're in the best division in autumn win. So if you can even go close to 500 against the guys in your division, I would like tip my cap to you. That would be like winning the league for anybody else. So with that talent level, I wish you the best of luck. Okay, so let's go on to the Stram division, the New Orleans Voodoo, who's already started the season with a 29-7 win over the San Francisco 49ers. The coach of the Voodoo, he has a 3-4 defense running good against the run, excellent against the pass. So you can already see how these playoffs are going to stack up. You're going to get Seattle in there. You're going to get Dallas in there. You're going to get the Voodoo in there. And then you're going to have like a surprise team like the Chargers or the Eagles or the Bucks make a run, maybe even the Panthers. So this is a really stacked. It really looks like the stronger conference to me when I looked over things. So let's take a look at Butch's offense. So even though he's got 3-4 good against the run, excellent against the pass, he has one major problem, and that's his quarterback. Is he starting? Hold on. Did he start Cutler in that game, or did he go with Cam Newton? Let's take a look at this. Or the mighty Jay Cutler, and Cutler actually completed 70% of his passes, 2 touchdowns, a 91.3 quarterback rating. And now, am I wrong, or doesn't Cutler have a poor card this year?
Yeah, his card the previous year actually was not bad. I think this year, though, it really suffered.
No, it was the last year. The card was part of the 15-1 Dallas Cowboys, and he traded him away for a kicker upgrade before Cutler came back. And I don't even know if Mark feels bad about that right now because Cutler hasn't played that well. But this year's card, it's got the interception on 10. It's got 2 through 8 guessed right on both long pass. 2 through 8 and 12 intercepted. So you might as well, unless you have the straight pick on 3. I don't know. This card, it definitely looks below average to me. Let's see who his running back is. Maybe he'll get some run calls. And he's got Matt Jones and Latavius Murray. So they'll do some things for you, but I don't think they're like a premium running back card.
Mm-hmm.
some short gains there. Can get you some guest right yards. Robbie Anderson is a decent card. Can do some. You think he's like he's got some long gains and guessed right on a long pass. Allen Robinson.
Well,
this is not the typical Allen Robinson card. So I don't know. This team looks shaky on offense, but I guess it's helped by that pass blocking. He's got 3 7s and 2 5s, so that'll get the job done when you're trying to get some dump offs.
Right.
But really, the strength of this team is the defense. Look at that. He's got all 6s and 5s in his back. His back. Well, I guess it's 8 with his running a 3-4. But Mark Barron, C.J. Mosley, Derek Johnson, Thomas Davis, Marcus Peters, Morgan Burnett. That's like a Pro Bowl right there of defenders. Mm-hmm. And then I didn't even mention the guys up front. They're all 5s and 6s too. Derek Wolfe, Damon Harrison, and William Hayes. So this team is kind of like my team, where the defense is the real stars of the team.
Yep. I like this team. I like the makeup of this team. I can't help it. Those trades that he made are phenomenal. I think this team's going to be a sleeper. I really, really like this club.
I like it. I do too. I just wish he had a different quarterback, but you can't have, like I said, with 30-team league, you can't have every hole filled with your ideal player. Mm-hmm. So what do you see this team doing there? What's your prediction?
I think he's going to flat pass teams to death. Let's see. So last year this was a 12-4 club. I think. Oh, I love that defense. I can't help it. This guy, and he's a defensive coach too. I mean, I like this team. I like it. I tell you what, he's going to match what he did last year. I'm going to give him 12-4, despite having Cutler, and I'll tell you why. I can't remember which league it was in, but I remember a team going to the finals with the Rams quarterback from a couple of years ago. Not Manning. Who was that guy? Oh,
Case Keenum.
So when I saw him go to the finals, that tells me that anything is possible. If he manages Cutler's card correctly and doesn't throw picks, basically, and put himself in danger of throwing picks, certainly he's going to stay upright. The lines are good on both directions, running and passing. I like this team. I say 12-4. He's going to at least match it.
Okay, I put 11-5. I think you're right. I think the way these teams are listed, every year Autumn Wind reseeds or reshuffles the conferences, the divisions, based on how you did last year. So he's like the best team in this division based on last year's stuff. And aside from the quarterback, I don't think there's any problems on this team. So I'll go 11-5, and we'll see what happens. So let's take a look at the Saints. This is the Battle of New Orleans is going to be in full effect. Mm-hmm. Is the coach of the Saints. Let's take a look at his notebook real quick. He runs an average defense. Bottom of the ninth, Corey Seager Bellinger almost hit a home run. Got caught at the wall. So it's still 3-3 going to extra innings. The Saints run a 4.3 average. And let's take a look at their computer manager. And he's led by Alex Smith. Ooh, he's going to really like next year's Alex Smith card.
Sure is.
But this year isn't bad either. It's not as good as the previous year. And you can see some holes throwing long and short. But he can run a little bit and run. He can run a little bit, must run. And he can flat like nobody's business. And he's got a low turnover card. So that's a nice leader of your offense. His halfbacks, Kenneth Dixon's got a surprisingly good card.
Yeah.
Double bangers there, double short gains off tackle, guessed wrong. And Terrence West is okay as well. Not quite as exciting as his receivers are not that great. Dorsett's, I think, a 3.35, so he can do some things deep. But that's not the strength of Alex Smith. Kendall Wright doesn't. I don't think he has a very good card. No, I guess he does. I remember misremembering some of these guys. He's got an average number of hits, but he's got decent. Who has double team completions? So that's something to get excited about. And then pass blocking and a 5. So he's going to have a little bit of problem there. as he tries to rebuild that line on the fly. He picked up some good guys in the draft, but it'll take him a year to develop, like John Miller and Evan Bowman. Do you say his name? And then Isaac Siamalo, who was benched. He looked like a solid starter for the Eagles, but he might get a chance now with the injury to Jason Peters. They may shuffle that line a little bit. Right now it's looking like Vaitai is going to pick up the start, but you never know. I told him he was running a 3-4, right? Or a 4-3. So he's got 3 5s on the defensive line with McDaniel, Jernigan, and Golston. He's got 2 4 cornerbacks. That'll cause him some problems, but 2 5 safeties. This team's got some good things and some bad things. What do you think? What's your prediction for him?
I don't think he's. I think the fact that the Voodoo's going to be in that division. He wasn't in a super strong division last year to make it to 9-7. He will be. I like his draft picks though. He's going to be really happy, like you said, with Alex Smith, but also Artie Burns looks pretty good for Pittsburgh as well. So
great! Yeah,
got to be really pleased with that.
He got him in the first round, right?
That's a good pick. Late, actually, kind of late. He must have been really happy that he fell that far.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't think this team is ready to challenge now. I'm gonna dial him back just a little bit by 1.
Okay.
Again, I know I've got Voodoo fever, but this division is going to be a little tougher for him. Last year he didn't play in quite the tough division. I'll clip him, but just a little bit, just 8-8.
8-8? Okay, 8-8 it is. I think he's going to do pretty good. I have to look at the other teams, but initial thoughts are 10-6 or 9-7. I think I'll go 9-7, and that's just based on the defense. You know, those 2 4 cornerbacks. That's tough to coach around. I hate when I have 4 cornerbacks and I'm trying to contend. All right, so let's go to the Detroit Lions. So that's Paul Powers' team. I think he's in a rebuild. So this will help
New Orleans.
Yeah. Houston just took the lead. 4-3. So my Dodgers are up against it now. So let's look at the Lions. Let's see. Notebook. They're poor. So they're definitely in a rebuild. 3-4. So let's make this one of our quick looks. He's got Phillip Rivers, who's got a ton of picks. Todd Gurley, who's got a bad card, but next year he'll be fantastic. Not very much going on with the targets, and only a couple pieces on defense that will be good. Marcus Golden will get you some sacks. Eli Apple will be good in the future, maybe. Mitch Unrein's having a surprisingly good year on PFF, but nothing there too exciting. Jatavis Brown's a solid player. But Ken Crawley. Ken Crawley was a great pick because that guy is like racking up the PFF ratings, and the Saints defense has gotten a lot better, and he's a big part of it. So what do you think about these guys? What's your prediction?
Whew, God, boy. 7-9 last year. He must be just an outstanding coach. This team doesn't
He sold off a bunch of pieces. That's why.
Yeah, I was just say. So let's give him his rebuild due, and let's put him to 4 wins. I tell you what, let's go 4-12 for me.
All right, I'm gonna go 2-14, and I just think they're just such poor. Not a lot of ratings, not a lot of stuff to get excited about. So we'll go with 2-14.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to the.
Now that I look at it, don't care. Go to 3-13, please.
Okay, 3.
I got one more look at his line and thought, yeah, he does have a lot of holes here. So, but this is a rebuild. This is the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's go take a look at the Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals. That's Dale Van Deven's team, and they run a 3-4 average. Let's take a look at the computer manager. I think Dale's got some pretty good talent here. Carson Palmer. Doug Martin's got it's an off year for him, but he can certainly bounce back. But he's got 5s and 7s at the pass blocking. Palmer's card is pretty good if I remember right. It's not great, but he can throw the deep ball. Look at that, 8-9. So you can crank it up and just try to bomb away, especially against some of these guys that have fours at cornerback. He's got Lockett. Man, I say his receivers are average to below. The running back doesn't excite me. Let's take a look at the defense. It's average on a 3-4. He's got 5s and 6s up front, but not a lot of pass rush. He's got 1-4 cornerback, and then the rest are 5s in the defense. A 5 cornerback and 2 5 safeties. That's pretty good. The linebackers are weak, though. That's going to cause some problems. I don't know. Any thoughts on this team?
No, this was a 5-11 team. This has the makings of a 5-11 team, but again, this is not like the strongest division minus New Orleans. I say he does have some deficiencies on defense. Mercy sakes. Godly. I say
those linebackers.
I think he picks up a win. I think he picks up a win. Okay. I say we go 6-10 with him.
Okay. All right. I will go 5-11. Okay. The Bears. Chicago Bears. This was supposedly the weak team of the division. Based on last year's performance, like things change, and now they're 4-3, good. So this is not going to be a walkover team. What was their record last year?
I'm looking it up right now.
He's got Marcus Mariota as his quarterback and Ezekiel Elliott. Oh yeah, this is quite an improvement here. Luke's the coach of the Bears, Luke Dalfume, and he obviously got Zeke in the first round. I think he was very happy to pick him up. And look at that offensive line, a couple of 2 5s and a 6 blocking for Zeke, plus 3 7s and 2 5s on pass block. That's pretty darn good offense. And you add in Odell Beckham and Emmanuel Sanders, man, it's gonna be a really fun team to coach.
I know. My goodness gracious. I'm trying to look at this and see, did he make well, it looks like he made a few trades, basically. I think once you get Ezekiel, it's like, you know what? I think I want to make some deals here and make this team better. And obviously, defensively, he made some fine pickups, especially in the secondary. His secondary was pretty average last year, but look what he picks up, a 5 strong, couple corners at 5 and 4 now, and magically your team becomes good and now can become a factor. So now the question is going to be, okay, he went 1-15 last year, didn't have the talent, but he's made some nice moves here. Let's see if the coaching matches the talent.
Yeah, and he's got Eli Harold listed as a starter, but he'll be able to bring in Ryan Kerrigan for some pass rush on third downs. He's got Brian Arakpo, 2 6s there, Zach Brown and Brian Arakpo in the middle and linebacker, 2 5s in the secondary. It looks like a pretty good defense. It's good. And then that offense is just going to be a heck of a coach and a really tough time to stop. So what do you think for those Chicago Bears? They're definitely improving on 1-15. I'll tell you that much.
Oh my gosh, yeah!
I'll put my prediction. I'll put my prediction first. I'm going to say he turns it around, and I'm going to say either 9-7 or 10-6. I'll say 9-7. So it's going to be a battle there for the playoffs.
Yeah. Well, mercy. I'm gonna go 8-8. He's got a very fast car. Let's see if he can drive it. I wouldn't be surprised at all over that, but I'll go 8-8.
Sounds good. Just to let you know, through one half of the league, I have predicted 120 wins and 120 losses, so I'm balanced. You're a little overly optimistic at 123 and 117, but you'll have a chance to correct that as we go look at the National Conference, and we'll start at the Lombardi Division. Last year's Super Bowl loser, the Houston Texans. This is the team that took Katie to the playoffs and into the Super Bowl and fell to me, but just getting them to the Super Bowl, I know Nathan wasn't expecting that. Nathan is the coach of those Texans, so let's take a look at them. Where are we at here?
That guy can coach. That guy can out coach. I've been with him in several leagues, and that guy knows what he's doing. He is a solid coach.
Runs a 3-4 average against the run, good against the pass. Let's take a look at his team. He made the big move up where he traded a bunch of pieces to get up to the number 2 spot, or the number 2 spot in the draft, and took number 1. Was he the first overall pick?
Number 1.
Yeah, okay, so he traded all the way up to number 1. He had his choice of Dak Prescott and Carson Wentz, and he went with Dak because he's looking to get back to the Super Bowl and win it this time. And on top of that, I think he picked up Lamar Miller. So you Dak Prescott card, look at this, super low turnovers, a rookie with an interception split on 12. It's got lots of hits, gets thrown on both short, flat. And he can run a little bit. He's got nice must-run numbers. Look at that end-run stuff. So he's a dangerous weapon, kind of a dual-threat quarterback. And then you combine that with Lamar Miller, who's got just like a crazy card for his yards per carry from last year. He got lots of short gains, end run. It's off tackle on the edges, and still some short gains in the middle. So he can hit you on all levels. And he's got a lot of attempts. So it's not like he's a one-hit wonder type of card. Mm-hmm. Then he got Sammy Coates and AJ Green. AJ Green's got the maxed out receiver card with the double team completions, and Sammy Coates doesn't have a lot of hits. Look at the yards on this card. Another good pick that fits Nathan's style of coaching. A lot of long gains. So when you land on one of those things, you're going like a long gain every time you catch a pass. Mm-hmm. And up front, he's got a couple of, he's got a 6'7", a 5'5", a 0'5". So his offensive line is average to above average. We talked about 3-4 average good. So he's got Landon Collins and Abdul Qudus as his strong pieces in the secondary. Jordan Hicks and Melvin Ingram, and some pass rush coming from Brian Robeson. Mm-hmm. So what do you think about this team? Will they get back to the Super Bowl?
You have to wonder how demoralized the team is going to be by losing Case Keenum, who brought them to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he's not even on the team anymore. He had to trade him away to make sure there wasn't any quarterback competition in the in camp. So he wanted to give Dak a clear shot to the starter's job.
Yeah, let's look at who's the rest of the teams that are in this league. Raiders are obviously pretty strong. Dallas, probably not. New England, probably not. They were 10-6 last year. That's an awful lot of good stuff there. And the thing is, that's a lot of talent, and Nathan knows what to do with it. I'll pick him up too. I'm gonna here we go, being overly optimistic again, but I'm going 12 wins with that guy.
I like him. That seems like
he coached so far out his rear end last year to get that team to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now that he's got the bullets in his gun, now think what he's going to do. He definitely deserves 2 more than last year. I'll go 12-4.
All right, I'm gonna go 12-4 as well. I think you make a lot of good points. I almost want to go a little bit higher than that. I don't think the problem is you got the Raiders in the division who have I think Brady and Shady, who we're going to talk about next. You got the Rams, who have a strong team. The Patriots have a strong team, and Dallas should be. It looks like he'll have some tough competition in this division. So let's take a look at those other teams. So we'll start with the Oakland Raiders, who have won a Super Bowl, and they already started with a 34-10 win over Montreal. Let's see. They run an average 3-4 defense out there. Manager, and sure enough, Tom Brady and LaShawn McCoy. How would you like to have that 1-2 punch as you're leading off your offense?
You know what? I'll take Bryce Petty.
I'm sure you will, because you have no choice. Brady's another one that has the interception on 12 only, and then Tim's got him with Taylor Decker and David DeCastro protecting him up front. He's got only one poor pass blocker in Chris Chester, and you want to put him at your right guard so he'll face the least amount of damage. But he's got Antonio Brown, Quincy Enunwa, and Martellus Bennett. So he's got some good targets, especially with the McCoy, who not only is like just a fantastic, maybe the best running back card in the set. Look at that. Short gains and long gains all over the place. but he can catch a short pass as well. You hit an edge with this card, you're going to go a long way. 54, long gain, 53, 38, 22, 75, long gain on 11. You better not call too much. Just don't just ignore and call pass all the time, because Shady will totally destroy you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at that average defense. A lot of fours. This is where the problem will be for him. He's going to need to outscore people. But the good thing about this defense is the strength in the secondary is both the cornerbacks. He's got 2-5 cornerbacks, which can help you, cover up some of your deficiencies. And then he's got decent pass rush and Ayers and Shane Ray. What was his record last year?
His record last year was 11-5.
So what do you think this year? Still a strong team, not as strong defensively, but maybe the top 2 quarterback and the top running back.
I think his line is going to hurt him. His line is very average for a contending team. Again, this is also very much a quality coach. But with Houston and their upgrades, I'm going to go one more notch down for them. They were 11-5 last year. I'll go 10-6 for Oakland.
Hold on. Breaking news. Yasiel Puig just hit a home run. Their closer. The Texans, the Astros still lead 5-4. But there is a glimmer of hope as Puig goes deep and there's no outs in the bottom of the 10th. So, okay. Exciting World Series game. So what was your prediction then?
My prediction is 10-6.
10-6. I'm going to go you know what? I'm going to knock Houston down to 11-5, and I'm going to make the Raiders also 11-5, and we'll see how they do against each other and who wins the tiebreaker. Those two teams look very strong. Let's go on to the Rams.
Let's hear something. One thing, and if you're listening to this and watching this later on, 99 times out of 100, you're probably going to be an Autumn Wind fan. You want to hear what Dennis has to say. But something too, if you're new to this game, which is how I found this game, was through videos like this. A lot of the playoff games from last year's Autumn Wind are on YouTube. They're all available for broadcast. Tom brought a bunch of them. Dennis broadcast a few, and I broadcast a few as well. This would be one of those games I would like to see outside of the playoffs. I want to see these two teams are going to rumble twice in a year. It would be nice if every once in a while, and I know we have time constraints and all, this would be a fun game to broadcast. I'd like to see how these two teams are going to match wins. Yeah,
so you hear that, Nathan and Tim, when you guys play each other, give Michael or myself a heads up. Maybe we'll do like a SOMIFA showcase. We'll do an Autumn Wind showcase where we show one game a quarter or something like that. Yeah. That would definitely be a fun one to watch. All right, let's move on to the Rams. Rams notebook. They run a 3-4, average against the run, good against the pass. Gary is one of the better drafters in our league. He won't trade a lot. He likes to build his team the old-fashioned way, pick by pick. He's got Mark Ingram, who's got a really good card. I have him in SOMIFA. A lot of short gains. Not as chunky as last year. It's more consistent. And then he's got Ben Roethlisberger as his quarterback, which I think, if I remember right, Roethlisberger's he's got some high pick numbers, but he does have that long gain on 8. Guessed right. That's a fun one to play with. Mm-hmm. And he's got a good flat pass card as usual. So Ingram and Roethlisberger is a nice 1-2 punch. Tyler Eifert is one of the top tight end cards in the set. He's got he doesn't have double team completions like he did last year, but he's got some big hits long, so he can go the distance. Or pretty average receivers. Some of his guys that he picked up in the draft will take a little bit to develop, but he's got some talent. He's not going to be a walkover. Some problems on the line is he has only 1 5. The rest are 4s or 0s. The defense, it's got some strong pieces in the secondary. It's got a 5 and a 6 at cornerback and a 5 strong safety. Then he can double team with his free safety. So I know Gary, he's a good defensive coach, so that'll help him out quite a bit. Not a lot of pass rush though, so that could cause him some issues. What do you see the Rams winding up at this year?
I thought he did a fine job coaching this team to 8-8. I don't think this team has the talent to match it. I'm going to go knock down a notch to 7-9.
Zach Zenner is the secret weapon here. Look at this double bang short gains here. I'm going to say he's going to do even better. So you say 7-9. I'm going to go 9-7.
Okay.
There's going to be a battle here in this division between those top three teams. And again, what they do against each other in the divisional games is going to make a big difference. So let's take a look at the New England Patriots. Now, this is coached by Jeff Smith. The other, he's Seahawk 37, or yeah, Seahawk 32. He likes John L. Williams, the old Seahawk fullback. He's already beat Cleveland 34-14. So let's take a look at his notebook. He runs a 3-4 average poor. So that's going to cause a problem with the poor pass defense. Let's take a look at his computer manager. All right, so he's got Derek Carr, who was a great quarterback. He's got a really strong card this year. He's got Jalen Richard and Ty Montgomery. Those are some good halfback weapons to go along with Larry Fitzgerald and Terrell Pryor. Man, on top of that, he got Austin Hooper. So despite the poor pass defense, this team's got a heck of a lot of offensive weapons, a premium quarterback card. They are not going to be a pushover. Patriots, at least looking at the offense so far. I may have caught Michael jumping off for a second, so let me keep going. Or you might have hit mute on your thing. His strength on the offensive line is Patrick Omame and Matt Slauson. Barksdale and Hart are 5 pass blockers at tackle. The only weakness is Vidal Alexander. His defense, he's got 2 5 cornerbacks, so that's good. Just like the other teams, even with it's coming from his linebacker ratings. He's got a right end, Frank Clark, who's a 4'11", and Cam Jordan is having a fantastic year. Those are going to be the cornerstones of his defense up front. I don't know. I kind of, if he would have maybe upgraded his free safety, he could have gotten from poor to average at least. But I kind of like this team. This is one of those sleeper. It's got some holes. The poor pass defense being the main one. A fun team to coach with Duke Johnson, who's a good receiver as well, Ty Montgomery, and Jalen Richard. So he's got some weapons up there that's going to force you to call run occasionally. And
he does, but he's going to really have a hard time, I think, against some of the elite defenses. And if you remember, it's very difficult to overcome in a throwing league a poor defense unless you've got something compelling like a really mean pass rush, and he doesn't really have that. He has basically one defensive end that's got an 11, and he's got an 8 there too, but no linebackers that really cause any concern. He's going to have to do a lot of very, very good guessing.
So what do you think? What's your prediction then for the Patriots?
I'm going to go 6-10.
Oh, 6-10. Okay, I'm going to go. I think he's going to do better than that. I think having Derek Carr as a quarterback in a 30-team league should help him. But I mean, he's in a tough division. I'm going to go 9-7 too, and that means the Desperados better be really bad. Otherwise, my predictions are going to be all out of whack. He's average with a 4.3, so it doesn't look like he's going to be that bad. Let's look at his offensive team. It's got Brian Hoyer, the mighty Hoyer, Frank Gore. Let's see. Nice flat card for Hoyer, low picks. And Gore can still move the ball. T.Y. Hilton as a receiver. This doesn't look like an awful team to me. Jared Cook is a good pieces up front with Tyron Smith. That's about it. Greco is okay. Good run. Not that great against the pass. Wesley Johnson's good, decent. Goodness gracious. So he picked up Jalen Ramsey and Byron Jones. Byron Jones in the previous draft, Jalen Ramsey this year. So, but besides that, it's a lot of 4s and 0s. So that's where he's going to run into problems, especially against the talent in this division. So give me a prediction on Dallas.
I'd probably say 3-13.
3-13. I don't think he's going to go that bad. I'm going to go 5-11, and I think he could actually do better than that. But we'll leave it there for now. Dallas division. Rapids. The Rampage always has a good defense.
Yes, they do.
Cards. He has 4-3, excellent against the run, good against the pass. He's another one that doesn't do a ton of trading. But when he does trade, he trades with a purpose. He's got Tyrod Taylor. He's got all sevens up front. He's got Mike Gillislee. He's got a top halfback card. Michael Thomas, who he picked up in the draft, and Mike Evans, who's fantastic. That's a lot of talent on this team.
Has he played a game?
Gerald McCoy. He has not. He's 0-0. Got good pass rush. Sherman and Jimmy Smith are his cornerbacks. He's got a couple of holes.
I have a dumb question, but well, no, never mind. Now it's not a dumb question. Never mind. I was playing in a game against Jimmy Garoppolo, who has a really, really nice card. I don't know why I was playing against the guy with 63 passes. I can't remember what league that was in, but I must have injured somebody, and Garoppolo came and basically dominated, and he's got a fine card. But I wondered if that's the starter, but then I looked over there and realized that he only had 63 attempts. I thought he had more than that.
No, that's it. 63 attempts, so he can't start. But he's got a really strong defense up front on a 4-3 with pass rush coming from Campbell, McCoy, and Quan Short. Chandler Jones is an asterisk pass rusher. He can bring 2 6s in the secondary. So he's even he can bring in. We asked Terrell Suggs as well as another 10 pass rusher. So he can do some things.
Wow. Look at those receivers, man.
Yeah.
He's got quality deep, quality middle. There's all sorts of things he can do with that team. Tyrod Taylor's card, though, I'm struggling with him in one of my leagues. It's not as good as what it was last year, and it seems like those short pass misses that you would get. He doesn't have the must runs like he did in seasons past. This card is not as good. I mean, it's just not as good.
Right. But it is still, I think, somewhat effective. He's got good must run, good end run. So low interceptions. This is the thing with these types of cards, because they have such low turnovers. You can throw short and deep with them and not be at risk as much as you would with, say, somebody like Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger, who has the high interception splits.
Boy, I tell you, and the thing to me that defines really good teams against the average teams, these lines. Wow. It takes so long to be able to build these and to hit these just right. This team, very, very solid.
Yeah.
It just seems to be the separator between the good and the average teams, or the sevens, across the line. Well, you're never going to touch Tyrod Taylor. You're never even going to come close to him. And even his run blockers are not really that bad. It's just so difficult. I mean, you just see those glaring holes, those 3s and 4s, and it's like, they're going to expose me. There's got to be something. You got to bring in an extra tight end to be able to force that +1. It's just such a game changer when you can breathe easy knowing that a sack is a surprise, not a given.
Yeah. So what do you think with this team then? I mean, what was the record last year? Let's start there.
That was one of the. I think that was that the 14-win team? Let's see.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, that was the 14 wins. I mean, I didn't have very much fun playing him. He destroyed me twice last year. It wasn't even close. I mean, it wasn't even close. So without mercy.
All right.
This is cream of the crop again. I don't see anything going backward for this team. I'd say absolutely this looks like another 14-win team. Although,
all right, I
will go down one notch because Tyrod Taylor, his card is not as good as last year, so I'll go 13-3.
Okay, I'll go 12-4, and actually, you know what? I think I'll go 13-3 too, because I think a couple of the teams in this division are going to struggle. So let's take a look at one of those teams, which is going to take a big step back, and they're already they're 1-1, so they did win one game.
Me.
That's because they played you, but they got crushed by Oakland. That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he played his way right out of the #1 draft pick. Way to go.
So he's 3-4. I mean, he runs a 3.4 average. Let's take a look at his team. He's going with the mighty Blake Bortles as his quarterback after he traded away Breeze. Bortles can do some things end run and on must runs, but this is not as good a card as he's had in the past. and he's susceptible to those turnovers when you throw deep. And he doesn't have a ton of must runs, even though he's got a good must run card. And then
Hey,
he's
look
got
at that Jacoby Brissett pickup. You know, even if he doesn't play, he's got a trade asset for next year.
He might start him. I mean, Brissett's been he's been pretty effective.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, and
you don't usually go into the season with 2 quarterbacks with 100 attempts. So one of those guys, he's got a trade chip for next year.
For sure, and he'll make the best use of that as possible. Wendell Smallwood is one of his main halfbacks, but look at this card. He's got a touchdown on 11, so that'll help him win some games. He picked up Amari Cooper in that Breeze trade. He pairs him with Corey Coleman. He's got a decent tight end in Kyle Rudolph. Up front, his line's kind of a mess. Some 0s and 4s, a couple of 5s. His tackles are the strength of that defense. And then his defensive talent, he's got 2 4s at cornerback. That'll cause him some issues.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you think? What was the Montreal's record last year?
Well,
what do you think he's going to do this year?
Kind of a shell of the team last year. I'm kind of looking it up now. Montreal Alouette. Where are you, Montreal? There you are. Oh no, wait, sorry. 9-7. This is not the same 9-7 team. There's no question.
Okay.
I say this team will go 4-12.
Oh, that's a big hit. Claude's such a good coach. I don't think he'll get knocked.
He's a great coach, but he has not imploded the team, but it's pretty clear this is not a team that's going to compete. When you deal with Carlos Hyde, you're deciding – you're not waving the white flag, but I'm saying this is a team that's building. I think he's decided at 9-7 in a division that includes Grand Rapids. I'm not saying he's not going to compete. I'm saying that probably the writing's on the wall and maybe it's time to start dealing.
Okay. I put him at 6-10. All right, let's go on to Carolina. And let's take a look at their notebook. I think Claude could do better than 6-10. I think he might even match that 9-7 from last year, but we'll go 6-10 for now. So Carolina, it runs a 3-4, average against the run, good against the pass. Let's look at his computer manager. This is where Matt Ryan is. He is coached by, what do I say Carolina? Carolina is, that's Dan Sur. I was going to say Dan Sur. It is Dan Sur. So he's a good coach. I've coached against him in some retro leagues and some other modern leagues. He's got Matt.
I'll be right back. I got to go get my iPad charger. It's run out of gas. I'll be there in 2 minutes. You go right ahead.
Okay, so as usual, he's got Zach Ertz, which is a premium tight end. Demaryius Thomas has got a good card. Ted Ginn's got a good card. Not a great card, but he's going to have even a better card next year with the Saints. But that's pretty good for number 2 receiver. 3 7s on the pass blocking up front, and then his defense is average good. He's got 5 at one cornerback and a 6 at the other one with strong safety 5. Where his issue is he running a 4-3? Yeah, he's running a 3. Sorry, he's running a 3-4. So he's got a 4-0 and a 0-4 and a 5-0. You can do some things with that. You can move some guys around so you double up, and then he's got Kerry Hyder coming in off the bench for third downs, as well as Nick Fairley to boost Marcel Darius' pass rush rating. So this is like an interesting team. That Matt Ryan card is just fantastic. Look at this, guys. It's hits everywhere. Probably one of the best quarterback cards in Stratomatic history. Who is he pairing it with? Jacquizz Rodgers is his number 1 running back. I guess that's pretty good. He's got 2 short gains at guessed wrong. Can't catch a short pass, though. Chris Ivory is not the Chris Ivory of last year, so his card's not quite as good, and he fumbles a little bit more. But it's still a fun card to play with. Goodness gracious. I think I will go 8-8 with this team, and then we'll wait to see what happens with Michael.
Yeah, I'll come back to it here in just a little bit.
Okay, so maybe I'll go 9-7. I think I'll go 9-7 because Matt Ryan's card's so good. But you need a running back to get people to guess wrong sometimes. Or maybe you don't. Maybe when you have that good of a card, you don't need to worry about it. But I'll say 9-7. So you tell me what you want to do with Carolina. I'm going to go on to Southern Cal.
Sure.
That's coached by Jim Riley. So take a look at Carolina. Give me your prediction.
I will.
Southern California runs a 4-3, good against the run, average against the pass. Let's take a look at his computer manager. He's got Trevor Siemian, who he was one of the guys that Michael had talked about trading down with to pick up Goff at a later pick. But Jim wasn't interested. He wanted to stay where he's put. He was going to take a quarterback at some point, and he wanted to pick Siemian, who's got a usable card, great card, but not bad. And he still has a starting job, so he'll be able to use him again next year. And he's showing flashes, low turnover card too. He's got Diggs and Brandon Marshall. Marquise Gray is a card, no great future for him. He's got big problems up front on that line, though, with 3-4s and no pass blocker over a 3. That is going to be a nightmare. Mm-hmm. His defense is better than that. Lorenzo Alexander will give him some juice as a pass rusher. Byron Maxwell's a 5. Adrian Amos is a 5. Trey Flowers he picked up in the draft. Aaron Donald. I said he's running a 4-3, so that means that Atuba Rubin slides in there. I like that defense, but I don't like that pass blocking, and I think he's going to run into trouble without a running back that's going to get you to call run more than DeMarco Murray, who's got an okay card, but not a great card, very chunky. So I think this is going to be what's SoCal last year? Do you have that?
6-10.
So I'm going to say he's going to go 5-11. What do you have for Southern California?
I was just going to say a thing. I like 5-11 for that, and Carolina I like at 9-7.
All right. So let's go on to the Jets. Now the Jets were in a major rebuild. They've made some acquisitions that kind of have brought them back up, but are they ready to contend? Let's look at the notebook. They're average against the run, poor against the pass. The Dodgers tied it 5-5.
Oh, wow.
Hernandez singled to center and scored Logan Forsythe, and now we're in the 11th inning. So this is like one of those great 1986 playoff games where the Astros and the Mets going to extra innings, while the Red Sox and Angels were going to extra innings, and then they just kept tying it up. So when it was 3-1 Dodgers, the Astros tied it up 3-3. Astros went ahead 5-3, and the Dodgers tied it up 5. Now it's 5-5.
Remember that? It was Billy Hatcher just playing out of his mind.
Yeah, that was like my favorite, absolutely baseball postseason. So, so I'm sorry. Back to the Jets. Average against the run, 4-3, poor against the pass. And then let's take a look at his computer manager. Now he has Aaron Rodgers and a whole lot of nothing in years past, but this year he's got a few more weapons. He's got Jeremy Hill, who doesn't have as good a card as he had last year, I don't think. But it's okay. Willie Snead he picked up. Tyrell Williams with the addition this year. Willie Snead 2 years ago. And his offensive lines leaps and bounds over what it was last year with Quentin Spain, Jeremy Zutaw, Joe Thuney. So lots of 5s and 4s. Let's look at his defense. Ricardo Allen was another pick he added this year. Still a lot of 4s, though, and some 0s, especially at linebacker. He's running a 4-3, so he's got a 0 at middle linebacker, but he's a 0-6. So at least he can stuff the run. And the rest of the linebackers are 4s. That's going to cause him problems. People can flat pass against him. And then both cornerbacks are 4s. So what do you see with the Jets this year?
I'll pick him up a game. Again, Aaron Rodgers can win games by himself, but there's no compelling reason for any team to guess run with Jeremy Hill and Riddick back there. This team's going to struggle, but I'll pick him up a game. We'll go 3. And if you wouldn't care to put Claude, what did we have him at Montreal? Could you tell me that again, please?
You predicted 4-12. I said 6-10.
Yeah, I need to bump that up. You can go to 5-11 on him. That was not correct at all. That should have been 5. And I'll put Jets up one more game by 3.
Okay, I'll go 4-12 with the Jets. They're on their way back, though. I could see them go. Actually, I'll go 5-11. I'll say the Rileys match each other in that division. So 5-11 for the Jets. All right, we're on to our last division. And see, you really can do a season preview in under 3 hours. We're just about at the 2-hour mark. Let's finish strong. We got, so I can go watch the rest of the baseball game. We got Shreveport, the Steamer. Let's take a look at them. Team notebook. They run a 4-3, poor against the run, average against the pass. So not your typical Steamer defense. And their computer manager says that Case Keenum went from the Super Bowl runner-up Houston Texans to the Steamer, and he'll be leading them this year as last year's starter for them. I don't even remember who it was, but he's no longer available. So he had to move on and pick up a card. And Keenum has a below average card, let's put it bluntly, a straight pick on short pass guessed right, and on a long pass on a 3, and then 2-10 on an 11. So he'll throw some picks. He can do some things flat, but the interception split even there is a 2-6 on guessed right on a 10. So that doesn't do much. Giovanni Bernard, he picked up CJ Prosise in the draft. I like Prosise, but he's not going to help you running the ball, but he's a good receiver. Bernard's an excellent receiver. He's got Adam Thielen, who's really coming into his own. Alshon Jeffrey's revitalized in Philadelphia. He's got a couple of really strong pieces in Sheriff and Paradis on the offensive line. Paradis? How do you say that? Paradis?
I never did get that.
Okay. And then, but his tackles are weak, and Stevenson and Jaw Reed. That defense, poor against the run in a 4-3, means that there's a couple of zeros up there. Sheldon Rankins, who's going to be good. That's a good pick. He still has Olivier Vernon, Connor Barwin. Kuechly is the anchor of his defense, but 4s at cornerbacks means he's going to be in big trouble. What do you see for the previous division champion in some division last year? What do you see ahead for the Steamer this year?
I just look at this team and wonder how on earth this was a 13-win team. That's a fine coaching performance. I can't possibly see him matching that.
The team was different last year. I'm sure if you look at it, he had a 1-year quarterback card. Maybe somebody like who would have been his quarterback last year? I want to say it's somebody like Hoyer, but we already saw Hoyer on some other team. So let me open this up. Keep telling me about your prediction while I go look at last year's Autumn Windley.
Maybe you got the tab. Basically, you could take a look at it. I don't know. I was listening to what you had to say. There's nothing really offensively here that scares me. There's no true, real game breakers here or anything that I'm seeing. And again, there's lots of 4s. I mean, this team looks like the mark of a rebuild. 3s across the defensive line, 4s, a couple 4s there. There's your 6-9, basically, in Vernon. But again, I just think that if you're – I mean, I had a poor pass. Of course, it was very poor. Mine was very poor, but it's difficult to play with a poor defense against the run. 13-3. Obviously, this guy's a quality coach. But
he is. Brandon Weeden, that's what I was thinking of. So Brandon Weeden was his quarterback last year. This is just I just picked up an old one through 12 games. He had like 31 touchdown passes and 12 picks at that point. So
I'll tell you what. Sometimes we go to horse races and we pick horses based on color, not on performance, okay?
Okay.
And this big pickup in the offseason of the Super Bowl quarterback runner-up team, Case Keenum, all right? He's got a lot of luck and a lot of momentum. He won't win 13, but I will put him – I'll figure out – you know what? Let's put him at 9-7.
9-7. All right, that's going more for the coach than the team.
That's exactly right. That's ambitious, but I'm going to go 9-7. I think it's worse to have a poor pass defense without a rush than a rush defense that's poor. I think you can probably get away with it.
Yeah, I just think Case Keenum's going to be his downfall. And by the way, the Astros have gone up in front. They're now 7-5.
Wow.
With with the Dodgers coming up in the bottom of the 11th to try to tie it again. Okay, so Shreveport, I have them. I'm going to say 6-10 for them, and that, like I said, based on Keenum. So let's look at San Francisco. Those 49ers. Close this up. Team notebook. So they're 3-4 average. Now let's look at the computer manager. They are Sam Bradford. This is an excellent Sam Bradford card. He's got Morgan Moses, Mike Remmers, Richie Incognito, Ron Leary. So nice quarterback card, nice running back card with Jay Ajayi. He's got Cobb. This might be the division winner this year. Julio Jones, Randall Cobb. 49ers are coached by Lawrence Green. So
he's a great coach.
Yeah, very good coach.
Great coach. Yes, sir.
She's got Travis Kelce and Rob Gronkowski. Did I mention him? So he can run a blocking back halfback set or a 2 tight end set. And then his defense, he's got some 4s up front, so that'll cause some problems. But he's got Casey Hayward as a 6 cornerback, Carl Joseph as a 5 safety, Brandon Marshall as a 6 middle linebacker. So he's got some pieces. The strength is definitely offensively, because that offense is going to be really hard to stop. I don't really see a weak position player in the skill player. Maybe Cobb doesn't have his classic Randall Cobb card, but if that's your weak piece, you got a strong team. I like everything except a little bit of the pass blocking at center and left guard, but really strong team. I like the way these 49ers look. What's your prediction?
I like 11 for this team. This was a 9-win team last year. I'm not sure how strong this division is, so I'm going to go with 11.
All right. So
for Lawrence, quality coach too. On top of that,
so I will actually go 10. I want to say 11. I'll say 11-5 too.
This team's going to pick up 2 wins from last year, no doubt.
They're just going to outscore people. That's just the way they're going to do. Yep. And this might be your division winner, I think.
Well, so look, in their first game, isn't that them? They already hung 55 on Cleveland.
Right, 55-24, but they lost to New Orleans 29-7 against that excellent defense. So that is one way you can stop Sam Bradford, is if you have an excellent pass defense card. He only completed 29% of his passes, 10 for 34. And Jay Ajayi didn't pick up the slack. He only picked up 34 rushing yards.
Hey, not to get off the page here, but I think there was a little bit of controversy in him making his decision to keep both Stafford and Bradford. Knowing now what we know about Bradford, that may have been a pretty smart decision.
Yeah, I have to agree with you there. He's got Bradford's excellent card for this year and Stafford for the long haul. But if you aren't really ready to win a title, and I'm not saying they aren't, I still might have traded off Bradford to get what you could for him, while using Stafford this year, knowing that you still have a pretty good shot at the playoffs,
right?
Aren't really ready to compete with the top teams. But that offense he has, I mean, that's pretty dang scary. If I was facing that in the playoffs, that's not an easy out. So I can't blame Lawrence for doing it. I just have a hard time having 2 great assets at quarterback and not trading one. I mean, you would have given him a first-round pick plus for Bradford.
Well, and that was again, and this is water under the bridge. This was the decision that he chose to make. He and I were dealing, and without going into too many details, he wanted the one that I wasn't willing to part with, whereas I had a 20 based on Cameron Wake and was willing to deal some other things, and he decided against it, and that's fine. That's his prerogative. And so basically Sam Bradford for him is going to be a 1-year rental. Now, he may get enough attempts by the time this season is over with to have a halfway decent card, but again, he's just so injury riddled. I just wonder how much of a drop-off it would have been to say, you know what? I'll get a number 1 pick for him, and I'm going to go in with Stafford. How much of a difference there would have been between Stafford and Bradford? I mean, again, there's a difference, but would it have really meant that much of a difference? And to have a number 1 pick, now one wonders how much market he's going to have next year with a guy that's 1 year older and somebody that really can't stay healthy. But
yeah,
again,
I mean, there was even some thoughts last year that Bradford had gotten over that injury stigma, that he was, maybe not a lot, but you had kind of had a hope that he may, he had a really good statistical season last year, his best ever, and maybe he had turned the corner and was going to put together several of those years. He got hurt again, so that's that. Like you said, that's water under the bridge. But you're not going to get his value is never going to be higher than it was in this last off season.
You buy low and sell high.
Yeah,
that ship may have sailed. But again, I'm not a criticizer of that in any way, shape, or form. I understand why he did it. It's just now that may come back to bite him.
Yes, you're absolutely right. So okay, so let's go on to Phoenix. Where are we at? Phoenix. This is Dale's team. Oh no, they're the same. Wait a minute, hold on. This is Dave Will's team. We got the St. Louis Cardinals, who's Dale, the St. Louis Rams, who's Gary, and the Phoenix Cardinals, who's Dave Will. Do we have enough Cardinals? And then the St. Louis. Already said them. What do you have? You have 2 Cardinals, 1 Ram, 2 St. Louis. Am I missing anybody there? It's like a lot of confusion there.
No, you're right. You have 2 Rams and 2 Cardinals.
Okay, got it. 2 Rams.
Yeah, Los Angeles Rams and St. Louis Rams.
Oh, that's right. That's right. You're the Los Angeles Rams. So yeah, you guys need to have like a battle to see who wins these franchise names and make the other guys change their name to something else.
Well, I could go back to the Dons, right? Or we could go to the Express.
There you go. No, I actually like it. I'm glad that you have the Rams. You got to build up your tradition now that you have them. Just keep going with them.
I agree.
Okay, so Phoenix is 4-3, poor. This is where we're going to balance our books on our records. Dave Will has finally got his quarterback. He had to trade up to do it, but it was totally worth it. He's got famous Jameis Winston. Saw a pretty decent offensive line with a bunch of 4s and no pass blocker lower than 4, and a couple of 5s mixed in there. He's got Juice Landry as one of his running back or one of his receivers. Rashard Matthews is another receiver, and Bilal Powell, who's got a really good. Maybe we won't be able to balance our books here.
No, I don't think so. That's a great card.
Yeah, that's a fantastic card, but his defense, that's where he's going to run into problems. He's got 4 cornerbacks, a lot of zeros in there. I think he's running. Is he running a 4-3 or a 3-4? Either way, he's got a lot of holes. So I'm guessing he's going to run I already forgot it. No, but he's running. Yeah, he's running a 4-3. So it's just going to be tough to stop people with that talent on defense. Even though his offense is pretty sweet. I do like that offense.
Yeah.
Hasn't played it yet. So what do you think? What's your prediction for the Dave Will-led Phoenix Cardinals?
Well, it's a weird division. I'll go 6-10. That's a weird division. I don't want to throw him under the bus because of his defense. But
well, it's just timing. It's just timing because Shreveport lost their quarterback, so they had to kind of retool a little bit.
Yeah.
San Francisco's stepping up big time, but I will say Phoenix will go. I'll say 6-10 as well.
What did they have San Francisco at?
You had San Francisco 11-5.
Put them to 12. I'm really going to go crazy with that team. The rest of these teams in this division are all in rebuilds. I'm going to go 12. I'm going to actually bump it up one.
All right. Well, I'm going to see your 12. I'm going to raise it to 13. So I'm going to go 13-3 because they are going to clean up on these division games.
Yeah, they are. Yeah,
Let's look at the Cleveland Browns. We got 2 teams left. Mm-hmm. Let's see if I can finish before the baseball is over. They are 0-2 already. The Browns. They go average against the run, good against the pass. They've lost to the San Francisco 49ers and the New England Patriots. Let's look at their computer manager. Why are they losing? Oh, Ryan Tannehill and Jared Goff. Now, he's happy to get Jared Goff. He's going to that pick's going to turn out great for him because Tannehill's out next year. Tannehill's card this year, it's got some decent stuff on it, but it's a lot of picks, short pass right, and long pass. He does have the long pass guessed right on 9, a good flat passer. Let's see. What else we got? Melvin Gordon, very good halfback.
Mm-hmm.
Hopkins and Cameron Meredith as his receivers. I don't know. I mean, we've already seen him go 0-2. Vernon Davis has got a good receiving card. I do see some hope on the offense. The offensive line's got 3 zeros they're run blocking and only 2 4s. Well, what do you think? What's your prediction for these Browns?
That line's
I've already
a
been
mess.
snake bitten a bit.
That
Yeah.
line's a mess, and he should be very happy that he got Goff. And I remember when that pick was made during the autumn wind draft. I think there was a lot of people thinking, yeah, good pick, and a lot of the guys, yeah, good luck. That's a reach. Guess what? He's going to be rewarded for it. But I do find it funny that a couple of rounds later, he winds up picking Brett Hundley. It's like, well, just in case, Pro Football Focus said he was going to be like one of the top 10 breakout players of 2017. 6-10 last year. I like Cameron Meredith, although he's hurt. I had a game against him earlier this year, and he torched me. His card is good. 6-10 last year. I'm going to go 5-11 this year.
Okay, 5-11 it is. I put him down at 4-12 simply because he's already 0-2, and that means he only needs to go 4-10 the rest of the way. So that's my prediction. All right,
that's a good defense, though. That's a bit of a stretch for me to put him at 5-11, considering you got an average and good pass defense. That one might be one I'll revisit if I have to even things up. I may go 6-10 with him.
All right, let's go to Miami. This is Dan Morin's team. He's waited the entire show, wants to finally get talked about. He's got good 4-3 defense, good against the run, excellent against the pass. Let's take a look at his computer manager. He's got Matt Moore, who he's going to start over Carson Wentz, who he was really happy to get, and I think he's even more excited after the MVP push that people are talking about with his last 3 games. Wentz has been on fire. Jordy Nelson is one of his receivers who's got the maxed out cards with the double team reception. And then he's got Steve Smith, who's a 5.53. He's got 3 7s on the offensive line, a couple of 4s at tackle. So it's pretty juicy offense with an Isaiah Crowell card, which is pretty darn fantastic, especially on the edges. Look at that, a plus 25 on 10. That's looking sharp. So it looks really good. His defense, like we already said, it's got excellent against the pass. He's got 2-6 cornerbacks. Dang, I'm going to have to lower some guys here because I look at this team. This is going to challenge. I'm going to put San Francisco back at 12. This team looks like an 11-5, maybe 12-14 to me.
Ooh, wow. I don't know about that. Dan Morin is vying for Coach of the Year in your mind.
Well, actually, I'll go 10-6 because I forget about Matt Moore.
Yeah, I'm 9-7. I like 9-7 for this team.
Okay, and I think he could easily exceed that if he gets some good luck. He needs to rely on Crowell to make passing on Matt Moore's card guessed wrong instead of guessed right, because that really lowers his interception chances. Otherwise, he's in kind of pick city there, guessed right. Okay, so the great coverage here. I need to balance my books. I'm 241 and 239, so I need to take a win away from somebody. Let's see. I wish I could take a half a win away from a couple of teams, but that's not going to work. Let's go. Who do I want to steal from? Goodness gracious. I will take. See, I'm going to take a win away from. Man, this is tough. I'm going to take a win away from the Panthers. I'm going to make them go to 8-8, and that'll balance my books at 240 and 240. You are 3 games lower, so you need to give a couple of wins to folks.
Yeah, what happened to that? I was 3 up, and now I'm 3 down.
Yeah, so you need to give a win or 2 to a couple teams.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at here. Let's see what we've got.
Well, you had the Rams yourself at 1-15. Now you're not going to really lose.
Yeah, I'll give myself just a tiny little bit of credit and go 2-14. That's fine.
Okay. You need 2 more.
Let's see what we got here. I'm looking at your list here. Who's at 12 and 14?
You want to go crazy with San Francisco? You want to go to 13?
I want to be bold. Let's do that.
Okay. You need 1 more.
Yeah, let's see. 1 more. Let me find one of those teams that I probably hammered a little too much. Gave them a little too much meanness. I channeled my inner Tom Cook. Let's see.
How about the Patriots? Jeff's team. He's already got a win.
What did I have him at?
Where's New England at here? They're 1-0. You had him at 6-10. I had him at 9-7.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds reasonable. That sounds reasonable. Give New England one. I'm going crazy on San Francisco. I'm going all in, and I bet a little on myself. And Bryce Petty is.
Oh man, the Dodgers have cut it down to a 7-6 lead with Culberson knocking one out, and now they have. Well, they're down to the last strike. Puig is up. It's a foul ball, 1-2. Maybe we should just watch the end of the game here.
Yeah. Let's hear your best Vin Scully.
Yeah, I wish I could actually put the broadcast on here. I don't have a good Vin Scully, but 3-2.
Do it for Cuba.
Come on, Puig. Do something. Lick that bat. He's been funny. He's been funny in the playoffs and all season, really. He's had a bounce back year.
Sure has.
He's staying alive. Let's see what we got here. It would be freaking amazing if he would tie it up again. I think it's been a pretty good World Series game. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this one.
Mm-hmm.
But he had let's see, maybe we can watch it. What is it on? It's on YouTube TV. I wonder if this would come through if I put on the radio broadcast. If this will be a good test. Let's see if we can put it on the pod. Can you hear that?
Yes, totally. Exactly. We are breaking new ground with these podcasts.
We know the bread and butter is your changeup, but two better swings Puig's had on these last two where he's been on it from a timing standpoint. He's now seen a ton of them. Is it time to go with the fastball if you climb up for a second? He can continue to chase up above the zone.
Astros 7, Dodgers 6, 2 down.
He's going to strike out. I can't handle it. He's going to strike out. There you go. I had a feeling. Puig, he's done amazing, but I just had a feeling he will chase down and away, and it looks like that's what happened. So the Dodgers go down 7-6 in Game 2 of the World Series. We have completed our autumn win season preview. Mm-hmm. We did it in under 3 hours. Eat your heart out, Tom. And actually, I hope you feel better.
And get well, Tom. That's exactly right.
Yeah, thank you for joining me tonight, Michael. And I'm going to go ahead and shut it down.
That was a pleasure, Dennis. Thanks for inviting me. I appreciate it. That was a lot of fun.
That sounds good. Thanks a bunch.
Good luck to you. Good luck to you this season. You've got a strong team once again, and let's see if you can take that team to the finals. Good luck to you the whole way.
Hey, like I've told you before, it's tough to win in the playoffs, and I am definitely not expecting to repeat. I'll do my best to defend my title, but it ain't easy winning an autumn wind. It is a tough task. So, okay.
Wait, before you go, quick question. So, do you have the trophy?
I do. It's on my office desk. So, too bad I couldn't have it here for the podcast. But for a future one, I'll take a shot of it and send it out. So.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. Yeah, take a picture of it and put that as the picture for your podcast.
Sounds good. All right, man. We'll talk to everybody later. Good luck to everybody this year, and thanks for listening. See ya.
Bye-bye.
Go Blue and go Hawks.